Hello and welcome back to the Savannah African Art Museum. My name is Edwin Johnson and this is another installment of Collection Close-Ups. And today we're going to talk about a Baga Sibindel. Now, this is an object that is, let's first talk about how it's used. How this object is used is that it actually is, it's placed upon a very long pole and held up like a standard, like those Roman standards that you see in the Roman films. It's like that, and then it's held up by a gentleman who's covered in cloth. And these Sibindels represent an aspect of Baga artistic tradition. Now the Baga people are from what's now Guinea, and this tradition, now there are many Baga traditions and very old Baga traditions, and this example actually is a far more recent tradition. And in fact, according to documentation on these objects, this tradition of the Sibindel only goes back to the 1930s, where you have many more traditions relating to initiation and the celebration of the contribution of elder women in Baga societies. Those traditions go further back. But this type of object actually is a more recent addition to Baga tradition, and it is an object used as a way of kind of shedding light on Baga perspectives on current events. That's the thing, is that this type of object is very much hardwired to current events, and in fact current events in the time period in which these Sibindels are created really affects what these objects look like and the kind of symbols that you would find on a Sibindel. Now what I'd like to do is actually, in the analysis of this piece, divide this object into two parts. The first part that we're going to look at is this head right here. And then the second part is this kind of diorama this diorama-like part over here. So let's first look at the head. Now the head is actually a bit of a humanimal. That is a technical term. It is a humanimal. What we see here is basically a representation of a human head. And how do we know that it's definitively a human head? Well, we know that it's a human head because there is scarification on the face. That represents that this is a person who has undergone initiation, therefore has been civilized by Baga culture. So so what we have here is a representation of a human head. The only thing that kind of throws it a little bit are the ears. Yes, these are very long ears, and these long ears are supposed to tell us that this human head is actually also a rabbit. That's significant. In Baga culture, rabbits are symbols, and they represent wile, wit, intelligence, the ability to think around problems in a creative way. For the American audience, it's kind of akin to the Brer Rabbit stories, where Brer Rabbit thinks his way out of problems and challenges and tricks people. Yeah, that's a very good comparison to what this head represents in Baga culture. Moving on. We move to the diorama. And this diorama changes over time. And I'll explain how this diorama changes over time. What you will commonly find on these Sibindel objects, especially after 1958, is an elephant in the middle of the diorama. The elephant is significant. The elephant represents a political party. So just as we use animals here in the United States to represent political parties, the Baga do too. And this particular symbol represents one of the variations of the Democratic Party of Guinea. There are several Democratic parties of Guinea, and they don't always get along with each other, or haven't in the past. And this elephant represents that party. And it's a party that would rise up with a group of youths who wanted to actually exert power in Baga society, which historically and traditionally has been dominated by elders. So imagine in the 1950s, a group of youths, and it's so we see the rise of youth culture globally, in the West as well as in Africa. And what we see are these youths creating a political party so that they can contribute their voices to the political dynamics of Baga society. So when we look at this elephant, it is a very significant symbol representing a very important political party in the political dynamic of Guinea, especially after 1958. Another thing to look at in this diorama are these gentlemen here seated in chairs. And this actually can help date the object. There's a very good chance this object was created in the 1960s. And what these gentlemen represent are administrators. And that's the thing, is in the history of the Sibindel standard, it's whoever you see in the front row represent the powers that be, and usually it's a power, administrators of some sort who actually have a bit of a problem with the Baga continuing their traditions. And these particular individuals represent just another chapter of administrators who give the Baga a hard time about their traditions. Because in the initial creation of the Sibindel going back to the 1930s, the people that you would see represented in the front row would most likely be French colonial administrators. And what this would represent is that this is the political and social and even religious challenge that the Baga are facing. The fact is that the Baga are a very small group. I mean, they don't number more than 40,000 people. They've never had a kingdom. They really have been a kind of a group that always was in the shadow of other groups. And in the case of this particular object, these individuals represent Malenke administrators, and these Malenke administrators were Muslim. And what you would see in Guinea during the post-colonial period is the rise of Malenke rule and a bit of a fundamentalist approach towards Islam that was not happy with the Baga continuing their age-old traditions. And so to the Baga, the Malenke represented a bit of a cultural challenge. And that's why they're being represented here. They're part of the political and social landscape of the time and present that significant challenge to Baga culture. After the administrators, you see a couple of women carrying packages on their heads. That what these women represent are the Baga themselves. They are shown as strong and beautiful, and because the Baga, yes, they are part of this political landscape, and the Baga use these women to represent Baga-ness, within the socio-political landscape, in this case, most likely of the 1960s. And then after these Baga women are soldiers. And this one you can actually see he still has his rifle, he's holding his rifle. And that represents the power, the kind of military power that's possessed by whoever the power may be at the given time. In this case, this is the military power and the political power of the Malenke during the post-colonial period. And that's the thing, is that as the types of groups that rule over Guinea change, the Sibindels change. And so what you would see over time is that the Malenke administrators would give way to Marxist administrators who were also unhappy about how the Baga were celebrating their traditions. And the Baga in turn would view these Marxist administrators as yet another challenge. It's just like, well, we had to deal with the French colonial administrators, we had to deal with the Malenke, now we have to deal with the Marxists. We're going to use our wit and wiles, that's what this represents, our wit and wiles to deal with this new challenge. Now there is a happy ending, because since 1984 there has been a political change in Guinea that is more open-minded about Baga traditions. And so the Baga are not really facing the same type of cultural challenges that they have faced during the colonial and early post-colonial period. Now, kind of taking what I've been talking about into consideration, that over time these Sibindel objects will change in appearance. And in fact, there's quite, not only a diversity regarding who you will see in the diorama, although it does follow a certain code, administrators, Baga women, and soldiers, that their appearance will change from one Sibindel to another. Another thing that you'll see are differences in the use of color in what I would kind of call the box. No matter what, though, these objects are very vividly colored. They're designed to draw attention to themselves. And so these objects are brought out typically during weddings. And why weddings? Well, why a Baga wedding? Well, the reason for that is that these Baga weddings are not only the union of a couple, but also this, this display of Baga-ness, and that's really is an opportune time for the Baga to use a work of art like this to really show Baga resilience in the face of the various regimes that want to basically tell the Baga that you can't be Baga anymore. So you are going to see bright colors, vivid designs. It's going to vary greatly. The only thing that's going to remain the same are the general components of the head and the diorama. So I want to thank you for joining us here at the Savannah African Art Museum. And please subscribe to us on YouTube. There are quite a number of other YouTube videos to be found, and covering other objects. And so if you subscribe, you'll be able to keep up to date on our most recent installments on YouTube.